What's up guys, how's it going? It's Matt here. So today's video is going to be about a little subject that I hear a lot about, guys. I hear a lot about this, and the other day I was watching a couple reviews of the new Smith & Wesson MP 2.0s, and it got me thinking. I'm like, I should really do a video to address this topic. So let me get right into it, guys. So for those of you that are having a hard time hitting the target, let me explain something to you. You don't have a bad trigger, you got bad marksmanship. It's the truth. It is 100% the truth. I see it all the time, guys. I hear it all the time. You guys hear it all the time. How many times have you watched a online review of a pistol and someone says, oh, a little too much take up in the trigger and it doesn't have a good audible reset, and well, I think it's a decent gun, but I think it needs a better trigger. How many times have you heard that? Or how many times have you heard someone out on a range with a pistol that they haven't shot before, and they're just like, say Nothing Fancy, for example, they go out with Nothing Fancy and Nothing Fancy doesn't do it. Some people that goes out there with them and they're out there shooting and they're like, well, it's a good, I just don't like the trigger. And Nothing Fancy just looks at them like, I don't have a problem. What's the problem with you? What's the problem that you're having? And it's the truth, guys. It is the truth. It's like the biggest excuse I hear all the time. From an instructor standpoint, you're standing in the front of a class. This happened to me in a couple classes that I've been in. The instructor stands up and he asks, all right, so hands up if you have trouble with trigger control. And there's so many people that don't put their hands up. When you don't put your hands up, you're lying, all right? Everybody has trouble with trigger control. Everybody struggles with your fundamentals, guys. Trigger control is definitely the toughest fundamental, because everything that goes with trigger control correlates everything else. Alright, here's my M&P. I'm using this pistol specifically for this video because I hear so many complaints about this. This is the original model M&P. This isn't the 2.0. This isn't the later models. This is the original model. I've had this for like 8 or 10 years. I don't know exactly, but I traded my Glock 22 from it and I love it. Have no issues with it, and I have no problem shooting it. So here it is. So it's cleared, guys. So all the people that freak out when I do stuff like that, thinking that a bullet's going to come through your screen, don't worry about it, you guys. You're safe. All right. So let me go over this. Basics of trigger control. All right, guys. There are 2 methods to trigger control. So let me get into this. This is the most common method. The people that complain, all the complainers, this is what they're always complaining about: audible triggers. All right. Shooting to trigger reset. All right. So here it is. This is the first method. All right. A steady pull on the trigger. You feel them getting ready to break. It breaks. The action moves. Then you keep your finger on the trigger. You don't remove it from the trigger. Release to reset. Then you fire again. Alright. That is the most common method used when it comes to trigger control. The other method, which I recommend to people who go between, say, semi-automatics and revolvers, because revolvers don't have resets. So if you go between semi-automatic revolvers, this might work a little bit better for you. Is just the straight through method, which is, you always have contact with the trigger again. You pull the trigger, all right, same thing, gets ready to break, breaks, and instead of going to reset, you go all the way through, never moving your finger off the trigger and pulling through. All right, that's the other method. Both are effective methods, both work well. But the one that people are always complaining about when it comes to triggers and bad triggers is the reset method, because this is what they're looking for in a pistol. Watch. Alright, so we pull the trigger, action moves. This is what people are listening for. You can barely hear that, the audible reset. You can barely hear that with the M&P with the early model. I mean, if you have ear pro, and you're not going to hear it at all. And people complain all the time because they train for reset, for trigger reset, with their own specific pistols, whether it's a Glock, Walther PPQ, whatever pistol it is. They train for the audible reset. Now, I say drop the audible reset thing. You know, I understand there's race gunners out there that's what they do. That's their method that they use. But when it comes to defense guys, that audible reset is you can just throw it out the door. I mean, it does you no good in a defensive situation. Because first of all, in a defensive situation, 99.9% of the times you're not going to have hearing protection on. I'll say 100% of the time you're not going to have the hearing protection on. Most of the time, this is from personal experience, you're in a firefight and all you hear is whack whack wee, and that ringing doesn't go away, and it'll last for a couple hours after the firefight, or for the long firefight for a couple days afterwards. That's what you're going to be hearing. So you can just toss audible reset out the door because it just does not exist in an actual up-close, in-person combat situation. Most of the time, most people in a real firefight are going to be doing this as fast as they possibly can, right? I mean, if you look at it, people just freak out. Just the adrenaline's going, all the other stuff is going, and the fundamentals, they just lose them. They just go out the door. So to prevent that from happening, for example, you need to train daily. All right, that's through dry fire practice, through range time. You need to train daily on your fundamentals. Make sure you get good shots on target, but do not train for the audible reset. I say that because if you are training specifically for the audible reset for the trigger, your head is not in the firearm, all right? Your head is listening for that click, all right? Some people say, well, it allows me to focus on the front sight tip better. Okay, look, trigger control leads to front sight movement, all right? So if you have bad trigger control, the sights are going to move. You don't believe me? Here it is. Watch, all right? I aim. This is the most common method, the 100-mile-an-hour method. There you go, the most common mistake, the 100-mile-an-hour method. That's start from finish, whack, all right? This is what happens when you do that. You see that? That's when you race the gun that far. You know, and if you pull the trigger that hard and that fast, you're not going to hit the target. Your shot's going to be all over the place, usually to the low and to the left is what they'll be. Standard trigger control method. Look at the movement, all right? Watch the movement. Barely anything, right? Barely anything. So what I want you guys to do is the next time you're out on a range, instead of waiting for that reset to get that nice pull the trigger, the reset, instead of waiting for that audible reset so you know when to pull the trigger next, use your personal feelings, all right? Get your head in the firearm, get your feelings into the firearm so you can feel every single thing that firearm moves. Yes, this is the early model that doesn't have the perfect apex trigger, you know, but here is my trick, all right? I've never had a problem with a trigger reset when it comes to this pistol because this is what I do. I don't listen for the audible reset. I follow through, okay? And I feel it. I can feel the trigger. I can feel what the trigger is doing. I can feel the firearm moving. Because I can feel what the trigger is moving, I know my fundamentals are a little bit better because I know what is going on in the firearm at all time. Like I said, if you focus on the audible reset, don't worry, some people have no problem with it. If you focus on the audible reset and say, for example, a shitty situation comes up and you have to use some other gun, say your firearm gets seriously or it gets damaged, or you don't have a gun available to you, carry your gun, but you don't have your gun available to you, so you have to pick up whatever you have, or shit hits the fan and you know you gotta grab what you gotta grab. The pistol, the rifle you pick up may not have an audible reset, guys. So say if you try to do that for a revolver, for the guys that like switch your revolvers. Hold on, this one I'm carrying today. Here, I'll show you. Okay, cylinder is clear. All right, so you try to do the audible reset. Yeah, let's hear the audible reset in a revolver. What? I don't hear it. Okay, let's try to do it to reset. What's going on? Why? Because, guys, if you need to be able to use what is available to you, you need to feel the gun. You gotta feel what the gun is doing, guys. So get to know your firearm, guys. Get to know your firearm, get to know other firearms. But train for trigger control, by using feeling, all right? Understand the pistol. Get the feeling of the pistol down. When you pull that trigger, you gotta feel every single movement that it makes. Like I can feel, okay, it's about to break, breaks, all right? Then I'm slowly moving it. Okay, I can feel a reset right there, all right? You have to feel the movement of the pistol, all right? You have to feel the action of the pistol. Train for the feel of the pistol. If you train for the feel of the pistol, then all your fundamentals will kind of go together and it'll work just right for you guys, all right? Anyway, guys, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about me. And remember, guys, it's our responsibility to take care of each other and protect each other. Peace.